And we back. Especially Black. Look, real quick, we having some technical difficulties. Quentin, I see you in the back. I see you made it. I need a 5-minute recess. I need like 5 minutes to make sure I can get everything right. Make sure our volume is right. Make sure our video is right. And then I started to put the questions inside of the panel. Man, I ain't even had time. It wouldn't even let me connect the questions in the banner. So, you know what? I'm not going to take a break. I'm just going to multitask. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multitask. I'm going to copy and paste. I already wrote the questions. I emailed Quentin ahead of time. So, look, I'm actually prepared. We just had some technical difficulties. We got started on time. We're going to keep it going on time. My name is Brandon Ward, and welcome to the 1828 Project, Creating Black History in LV. And I'm excited to have this guest because the guest that I have on today, we were supposed to have him on about 4 or 5 days ago. Matter of fact, I think it was last Wednesday. But we had things going up with the Clark County School District and some of the situations that was going on at Durango High School and police officers there. And my man plays a key role in the organizing of the protests and the organizing of the rights for the families. So, you know, he had to take some time, and I understood that. In his role, definitely, I understand it. But I am so grateful that he has graced me with his time today, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm also looking forward to him helping me say his name right, because I don't say his last name right. I know I don't. I was talking to Ashley yesterday. Great interview. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. Ashley Dotson's an amazing person. And I just didn't know how amazing she was. But yeah, she's absolutely amazing. So if you haven't yet, go back and check hers. Also, if you haven't checked Ganesha Mingo's, go and check hers too, man. Her interview was fire. She had all her Ganesha, I call them the beehive. She brought all her people out. They was in the comments chatting. You go look at it. It got a lot of comments in there. Great. It was a great time. So I want to encourage you to participate. So if you want to participate, if you got any questions you want to ask, if you just want to show your flowers and your appreciation for the person as well, please do so. But allow me to stop wasting time. I think the connection is really good. We got a couple of people in the room. Say hi if you can. Thumbs up, hearts, whatever you do. Say hi. We want to know who you are. And I want to make sure that I show you appreciation and bring you a comment on the screen. Well, let me get into my script real quick so I can introduce this man at least somewhat properly. But then I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself as well. So welcome to the 1828 Project, where we explore the people and stories that are creating a better tomorrow in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Brandon Ward, and today we have a special guest. Now, this is usually why I bring him in, but I'm on one screen today. Our guest today is Quentin Savwoir. I hope I said that right. Quentin, if I said that right, you got to let me know, all right? Quentin is the president of the NAACP Las Vegas and a committed community advocate. Quentin, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up? How y'all doing? Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, it's good to have you. It's definitely good to have you. I think you're still a little distorted on my end, but I hear you perfectly. But keep in mind, it's a podcast. We just try to give it to them, you know, in a virtual, visual opportunity, so they can actually see who you are.
Yes,
but the audio is what's really going to matter in this interview. So,
absolutely.
How's your day going so far?
Man, I've been running ragged and messed around and got a cold because, you know, it feels like it's wintertime out here. And I'm a little sniffly and a little exhausted, but the work don't stop. So I had some tea, popped some vitamin C, and I'm out here. Now, when you see me in these streets, don't judge me because I still got a full calendar. I'm going to wear my mask, but I got commitments I have to maintain. So, all right.
That's right. Well, I thank you. It's like Christmas right now, man. I was looking outside the other day. I was telling a story how some lady was praying for me, and then it started snowing out of nowhere, and I was like, look at God. And I got on Facebook, it snowed everywhere. I didn't feel that great, but I was still like, look at God. It was still my moment. It was still my time, right? And matter of fact, it was when I was at the Shepherd's Breakfast. It was, lady I was sitting next to. She was a pastor. And I just looked at her and I just had like this message in my head. It was like, God was like, man, tell this lady to pray for you. Man, I looked at her and I was like, she was like, when you leaving, young man? I was like, after you pray for me.
Amen.
She was like, oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Well, we prayed, and it was crazy because I'm telling you, as she started praying, the snow just started. It was so beautiful. Beautiful thing. Snowing in the 89106, baby.
Yeah. That's wow. I moved to the desert to get away from the snow. But it's okay. We'll be all right.
Yeah, man. Well, man, I appreciate you for coming on. We're going to touch on a few things. I sent you a script. I'm going to go back and in and out. My transitions might be a little choppy today, but I'm going to be transitioning while you answering questions as well. I'm going to try to keep it as smooth as possible. I really want people to understand a little bit about who you are and what you do. Definitely who you are personally. I want them to get a chance to get to know you, just as the man, Quentin Savwoir. Did I say that right?
You got it right.
Let's go. Ashley is the best teacher ever. She taught me.
Ashley's the bomb. I love my sister.
She stayed in the backstage the whole time. I think that she was just waiting to tell me how to say it right. Because I was like, Savwoir.
That's so funny.
Shout out to her, man. And then we already got a comment. Who we got in there? Todd Hudson. Todd Hudson said, what's up? What up?
What's up, Todd?
Todd, thank you for joining. We appreciate you for listening and tuning in. And then it's actually more people. Man, listen, I would love for you just to say hi, put it in the chat. When you give us that energy, it gives us energy. And then it allows us to even have a better interview. And we about to give you about a good hour. So, Quentin, you ready for this, man?
Let's get it.
All right. So my first question always is, let's tell these people about who you are. I didn't give them too much information. Tell me your story. I looked at your bio. You got a lot on there. So I'm very interested in hearing what parts you're going to pick from. So I went and research.
Edit that bio. It's kind of long.
You gave me like this much. I went and did some research. I found your bio.
Well, I appreciate the research in you. That's great. I'm not the best bragger about myself because honestly, so much of the work I do is not about me. It is about my love for my community and truly wanting people to have whole, full, thriving lives. You know what I'm saying? Not have to struggle, not have to wonder where their next meal is coming from, not have to make a light bill payment arrangement. I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. My dad was a Teamster. My mom worked in a school. I had all sisters. My daddy didn't live with us, kind of Rolling Stone situation. We know what that's like, Black folks. So growing up with all sisters, I developed very early a deep affinity for Black women because I've only ever had to see Black women carry the entire weight of the world on their shoulders. My mom, I joke and say, my mom could have you think she was a doctor, lawyer, and accountant in the same afternoon, because she always knew a little bit about a lot of things. So that's where my love for Black women comes from. My love for community comes from my dad. My dad was a Teamster. He taught me very early that working families should have a seat at the table when policy is being made. And my first activism something was in 1996. I was with my dad out on the strike line. He worked for UPS and they were striking for increased wages and better benefits. And that's where I was first exposed to the power of people. When you get enough people to believe in something, you can make people in charge change course, do something different. And that strike, I think, lasted a little over 100 days. But the fruit of that strike was increased wages and it was better benefits for the folks who were going to work. My dad today is 72, 73, still organizing. He's retired, but he's still organizing around housing affordability and tenants' rights in Kansas City, Missouri. That's what I'm doing right here in Vegas. So it's kind of wild how you become your parents and you don't even try to become your parents, but to be honest, what was I gonna say? What else about me? That's really it. I got to Vegas 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, hold up. I'm about to tee you up because I'm gonna go on my research. He ain't answer.
There you go.
Why not? So one thing, even you was about to go into, and I had to cut you off. Sorry about that. But the reason why I cut you off was that was one thing I learned during my research was learning that you only been here for 5 years. 5 years, and you already making an impact. And I want to know what made you go boots on the ground and go all in and accomplish what you've accomplished so far in just 5 years?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. I'd be remiss if I did not mention my time at Make It Work Nevada. So that was like my first real job in Las Vegas. Make It Work Nevada is an organization that organizes Black women and Black families around different issues: economic justice, racial justice, reproductive justice. And part of that included just about a variety of issues: affordable childcare, housing being affordable, make sure there's equal pay for equal work. And these were issues that a lot of my neighbors, a lot of the folks that we were organizing, were experiencing. And when I saw how small but mighty our community was, it made me feel empowered to mobilize people to action. Now, it wasn't an overnight something, but it was consistency and intention, I think, has yielded a great deal of my success. Also coached by none other than the Aisha Goins, who's poured into my life significantly and taught me the importance, furthered my lessons in the importance of serving people. Because these lessons weren't new to me, but Aisha leads with such a pure heart. It's just nice to be under her tutelage, because everything, the whole way we move, is in service to community. And that's how it should be. So I did 4 years at Make It Work Nevada, took on a national job. So like my big job, the job that pays my bills, I work at Run for Something. And we help recruit people to run for office. Because I just happen to think that if you get enough people to believe in what you believe in, you can change the world. And it's my day to day. Now I got 5 jobs and 1 check. I don't know how I managed that one, but NAACP came about in November of last year. I started campaigning, June, July last year, just having the conversations lightly. And I've been a member of the branch since I've been here, and I just saw work being done, but not work that was meeting the moment. And by meeting the moment, I mean having folks show up at city council meetings, making sure that we're doing something beyond just registering to vote. We do this every election cycle. Make sure you register to vote. Yes, that is important. That's just one tactic, though. Another tactic is having some bill ideas. Let's talk about what it means to change the law and change some of these rules that govern our day-to-day lives. Let's go to Grant Sawyer and lobby our legislators, give a testimony. Those are all in the same vein of creating change in our community. So I just said, let me throw my hat in. Let's see if the folks are ready for some other ideas. And fortunately they were. So here we are. And I'm really honored, and I'm really blessed, and I'm excited because I know that we're ripe for transformational change in our city.
I was just telling somebody the other day, I was like, man, it's our time. And when I said it's our time, I'm like, whatever you want right now, like, who's really going to stop you if you really put the effort in? Like, if you really put the work in, you really put the effort in, you make all the connections, you do the study and figure out where the problems are, knowing that you have a solution, who's going to stop you, right? People are going to try, but that don't mean that they are, because we got people all in the right places. And I've been seeing your circle pop up in little areas, and I was just like, man, your name popped up here, and I was talking to somebody, and then your name popped up there, and then your name. Now I'm doing research, and I'm like, oh, this is they little clique. So
yeah,
I did some.
I'm very blessed, man. It's really great to be surrounded by so many like-minded allies. I tell Aisha all the time, I don't make it a secret. I'm like, I just have to stop sometimes and be like, thank you, God. Because I do know, and this ain't me tooting my own horn, because I use these relationships to the benefit of my people. I know all the right people. So there's no way I'm not successful. I'm not successful if I decide to not be successful. Well, that ain't gonna happen, because I'm not no C- kind of dude. I'm gonna A+ it every day. And I have all the right people in my corner pushing me and nudging me in that direction. So when you surround yourself with like-minded allies, with people that are grinding and climbing harder, you can't be no lazy duck. You can't be lackadaisical. You got to keep striving and achieving and reaching for higher heights yourself. So I'm very blessed. That's my meditation every morning, is just saying thank you for my circle of people that hold me down, that keep me accountable, that believe in the things I believe in, because that's important. You can't do this work solo dolo. Don't let nobody tell you that. It's hard. It's hard to do it alone.
You definitely got to have that encouragement. You got to have somebody by your side, man. Like we got these people in these comments already. Patrina, thank you for coming back. Patrina
That's
McKinney,
my girl.
wow, nothing but love. You already know. You know, Patrina is always active in the comments. Patrina, I thank you for listening. I thank you for your support. And I thank you for keeping, like, people like you keep me going. You know, I make it on time, even if I'm 2 minutes late. All right, Quentin, man. Let me ask you this question. Tell these people something about you that they may not know.
I'm a big theater nerd. I love musical theater. So I went to a performing arts high school. And before I found my way into the activism policy world, I was a big musical theater geek. So I love The Wiz. I love Guys and Dolls, Les Mis. I love Rent. I love, goodness gracious. Oh, I'm drawing a blank. Hairspray. I'm like, what's the show? So going to performing arts high school, you know, you learn all the in and outs of musicals and the technicalities of theater. So that's why anytime Miss China invites us to the West Las Vegas Theater, I make it a point to be in there, whether it's for a production or just a movie screening, because the theater was where I felt most safe. I grew up with, our sister on my saying, I identify as a Black queer man. So there wasn't always spaces where I felt welcome by other young men when I was growing up. So in the theater, I could go and be their kid, and we'd have a good time, and we'd be acting out monologues and acting out scenes from different movies or different plays, and that's where I felt most safe. So I think people don't know about me. I love theater. Love theater. In my next life, I say I'm a starving musical theater actor, but maybe I should stop saying starving. I would love to be paid. I would love to be a paid musical theater actor.
I thought you was gonna say something. Yeah, you know, I go to all the Tyler Perry plays, and you know, I do all of that.
I mean, nothing against Tyler. I mean, you know, it's for the culture. I'm more thinking of the, you know.
I also love how you said I also let me shout out China. He was like, China. I'm like, that's right. Because I was just over at the Smith Center the other day at the performance arts. I'm like, oh, this is pretty fly. But you definitely right, man. Shout out to China. China do represent for the West Side and for the Las Vegas. This period, man. Nothing but love.
This period.
Yeah, this period. Nothing but love to her. And thank you for sharing that with us as well. So this is one of the questions I'm probably gonna start using for promo. So I'm gonna need this to be like one of your best answers, all right? The question is, what does creating Black history in LV mean to you?
Man, that is great. Creating Black history in Las Vegas, what does it mean to me? It means remembering those who've come before us. It means keeping in mind the work of Mary Wesley, of Dr. Ruby Duncan, Senator Joe Neal, Brother President Dr. James McMillan, who's a former president of the NAACP. I think about Mr. Bob Bailey, who was also one of my fraternity brothers. You have to have reverence and reflect on the work of our foremothers and forefathers. And that stays so present in my spirit because this work of the NAACP is not light. This is not some little fly-by-night organization. The NAACP has been around since 1909. Our branch in Las Vegas specifically was chartered in 1928. So we're coming up on 100 years. And we've done some incredible things in this city. We've helped desegregate the Las Vegas Strip. One of the former presidents developed training curriculum to teach Black folks how to get casino jobs once the Strip was desegregated. Former President Frank Hawkins was instrumental in making sure that we have body-worn cameras on LVMPD so that there can be greater accountability in our community. So creating Black history means proudly standing in the shoes of those folks and that legacy, and having the courage to dream bigger and to reach higher, because we're not done. So much of what we see happening in the political landscape of our country, it kind of feels like we're going in reverse. People are trying to overturn elections. You see political violence kind of more relevant, more salient, I should say, than you've ever seen it before. You've got international conflict. Yesterday, I read a story about there being a meat packing company who was being violated for having children work there. 100 children between 8 states, between the ages of 12 and 17, working in these meat packing plants as sanitation workers. All of this is circular. We knew that there were no child labor laws 100 years ago. And here we are 100 years later, still dealing with similar things, even though we have laws in place. So for me, my North Star is keeping in mind the work of people who have come before me and being fortified in the fact that we're not going backwards. We're only going forward. We're reaching higher. We're getting bigger. We're going to have rent stabilization in this city. We're going to have streets with sidewalks. All of our communities should have access to fresh produce and grocery stores. These should not be things that are politicized. These are things that will help people have whole, full, thriving lives. And that's what we deserve. We shouldn't be taking crumbs, because Black folks have given so much to this country. People of color have given so much to this country. So creating Black history in Las Vegas, to me, means taking the ball a little bit further than those who have brought us this far. It is truly the passing of the torch. I'll say this and then I'll be quiet.
No,
it wasn't until... Yeah, fair. Okay. It wasn't until, what was it? I think it was Congressman Lewis passed away. And it really hit me that when they say every generation has to earn freedom, what that meant. I used to think it was just like a colloquialism, like, oh, this is something, sounds kind of poetic. Every generation has to earn freedom. I'm not in the armed services necessarily, so that won't be my fight. No, he don't just mean being at war. He means making sure that people have access to the ballot, making sure people have access to housing, making sure that people can exercise their fundamental rights to show up and say, hey, this thing isn't right. We need to change it. Making sure they have access to health care. Because I don't know if you know, but Black women are dying in childbirth. Well, that's unacceptable in the United States of America. And it should be unacceptable to all of us. And we should demand something different. So for me, I'm very much in this season of every generation has to earn freedom. And I'm a leader in that movement.
Man, I told you to bring it. You brought it. My goodness. Let me get to the comments real quick. Unique said, yes, sir.
What's up, Unique?
Yeah, Unique Wilson. Nah, man, it's amazing. I was gonna ask you, how do you decide what you're gonna fight for? How do you decide whose legacy you're gonna continue to push on? And you just named so many, and then it had me thinking I should ask this question. This is why I think it's just so important. There's a question that I asked at the end: is how do we encourage other young people? And not even just young people, just people who feel as that they have a voice and they really want to make a difference. We say, how do we get them to get involved, and then choosing and deciding what it is that they are going to fight for? Like, what lane are they passionate about? And I'm just going to have you speak on that right now.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, especially as I'm like building these teams up with the NAACP. So the NAACP has 21 standing committees. It's kind of crazy. And every committee has to have a chair. So me and Aisha were talking today, like, got to get these chairs stood up, got to get this program rolling. But part of it, I think people have to understand that change is within their reach. We live in this space, and I think all things political, so forgive me. We live in this space where people are always asked to engage in a particular part of the process. And that particular part of the process always feels extremely transactional. And then they do the thing, maybe we win or lose, and then they're asked to do the thing later. So they don't have any faith that these systems work. I won't ever forget this. I'm knocking doors in 2018 at Marble Manor. I open the door, I'm asking the lady, you gonna vote for Aaron Ford? You gonna vote for Stephen Horsford? She says, well, I've been voting for Democrats. What'd she say? No. She said, I've been voting for Democrats and nothing in my hood has gotten better or worse. So I'm gonna keep voting, but I don't know what I'm voting for. And that begets a problem, because then you're disengaged in the whole thing.
Yes.
And I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on, the powers that be, they want us disengaged. They don't want us showing up to city council meetings and demanding more. They don't want us talking to one another to shape policy about what our neighborhoods could look like. So I think the most important part is recognizing that change is within our reach. I hear people all the time say, I'm not into politics. Well, it's into you. It's very much into you. So the more that you just have this kind of hands-off autopilot approach, I won't say the worst things will get, but you'll continue to see different facets of our community deteriorate. And it's up to all of us. And that's why my campaign slogan was, it's going to take all of us. It can't just be me. When I'm going to talk to the legislators in Carson City, they already know what I'm gonna say. I got my pick in my hair. I'm out here. I got the words ready. I've got the policy down. It's more helpful when they can hear from the mom who works 2 jobs and has 3 kids, or the single dad who got evicted and hasn't talked about what his story is, because we don't encourage people to be vulnerable or share their stories. That would probably be the number one thing I would tell people to do to get started with creating change in Las Vegas. Your story is not just happening to you. It may be unique in some capacity, but there are tons of folks who have an inability to afford their childcare, or don't have feasible access to healthcare, or maybe even got evicted. But we have bought into this, well, if I just pick myself up from my bootstraps, I won't have to worry about it. We've adopted this mentality without examining the rules that have gotten us in this place. I would argue that there is systematic policies in place that keep certain things at a certain level for communities of color. And instead of us saying, hey, why don't we change this? We go internal and we go solo dolo, and I'm gonna work 5 jobs, and then I'm gonna drive Uber on the weekend, and then I'm gonna get my bag together, and all that's fine and well. But just imagine what we could do if I got 5 of y'all, 20 of y'all, 40 of y'all. Now we're having a different conversation at Grant Sawyer or in Carson City about what having affordable rent looks like, or about what having universal childcare looks like. Everybody gonna have kids, and we talk about being the greatest economy on earth. Well, where the kids gonna go when we go to work? So there's just some things that universally we gotta come together on. We ain't gotta agree, but we have to be able to figure out what are the best solutions to get for our community. So I would say the first thing is to start by just sharing your story, and share your story with 3 other friends, and have them find 3 friends. And before you know it, you have an army.
That's right. That's right. Great advice, man. Great advice. I always think it's like something that you either experienced in the past, experienced in your family. Maybe you got a cousin going through something, an uncle, and, you experience something. You're like, I want to make a difference here. And it's so wide open. Like, I just wish people would understand how much their voice truly matters and how much they truly are valued in our community. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go a little bit back into Kansas City a little bit. Okay. We're gonna talk a little bit about you being a project director. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want people to see like how the journey began. Where the leadership comes from, so the organization, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand that you work as the project director of the Out and Upfront Youth Leadership Program at the Ruth Ellis Center. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what impact you were able to make?
Man, those are such fond memories. So actually, that was in Detroit. I lived in Detroit for a hot second.
Okay.
And shout out to Detroit, man. Those are some of my favorite people are Michiganders. I'll tell you that. Hardworking, and we are deep in Detroit. As the project director let me take a step back. The Ruth Ellis Center. The Ruth Ellis Center is a nonprofit organization. It is a LGBTQ center that helps with resources and transitional housing. So, you have a young person, mom, I'm gay, get the hell out of my house, you going to hell. They would bring their kids literally to the Ruth Ellis Center. I can't tell you the number of calls I took from parents saying, my kid is gay, I'm throwing them away, basically. They can't stay here with that. So we would provide resources to these young people, and we would provide transitional housing. What we found with my project is that LGBTQ Detroit students were getting bullied at school, and teachers weren't equipped to help mitigate the bullying. So I took a cadre of 12 young people. It's crazy because that was like more than 10 years ago. So they've grown today. In fact, one of them I talked to on Facebook, and he's like lobbying now. It's crazy. But basically, we did a series of training around how to tell your story, how to lobby, how to build an army, centering yourself in your own narrative. We did a variety of things. And we went out and we had different conversations with our community members about how we needed to create anti-bullying policy within the Detroit public school system. Now, everybody wasn't so welcome to the idea initially. When I went and talked to some of our faith leaders, they were like, you don't want to be bothered with that. But what's what ended up being the convincing mechanism was, hey, if you got all these young people dropping out of school, what happens to our workforce in 10 years? So for me as an organizer and a strategist, I'm always having to think about, appeal to somebody's heart. And then if that don't work, talk to them about money, because that always gets people to move. So when I went and talked to our faith community, I was like, you're going to be in a neighborhood that has no earning potential because all these young people have dropped out of school and they can't contribute to the workforce. Well, now that got people on board with us. It's a little unfortunate that sometimes you have to come at it from that money angle, but that's neither here nor there. By the end of the training, me and my 12 young people, we passed policy and sensitivity trainings. We passed policy that would make sure that there was going to be some type of justice, not retribution, but like it wasn't restorative justice either. There were consequences for the young people who were consistently engaging in this bullying activity. And the teachers were provided sensitivity trainings around how to help a young person who was struggling with their sexuality or struggling with their gender identity. And it was really enriching work. It's going to impact lives that I won't ever know. I keep in touch with, I think about 6 or 7 of the young people that I worked with then. But since then, there's been a whole new swath of young people who are in the DPS school system, and that policy is in place to protect them. So it gives me goosebumps to think that I have something to do with that, because, I tell people all the time, I'm just for real, I'm an A+ dude, but I'm not out here like on my Hollywood status. I truly am anchored in trying to make the world a better place. So when I reflect on those Ruth Ellis days, it's very, very, very fun, because that is impact that is still happening in real time. So I loved it up there. It was a good time.
Look, shout out to the research team, because they knew to go get the Ellis information. I'm just like, I didn't know that. Yeah. It was perfect, but it was amazing. And shout out to the team. And that's great that you did that work. How long were you in Detroit?
I was in Detroit for like a year and a half. This was 2010. So this was like a long time ago.
Okay.
So now my young people who were like 16, 17 then are like 28, 29 today, and they're lobbying. They are working in county government. They are public servants themselves. So it makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really good.
That's fire. And that's definitely needed out there in Detroit. They need as many Black leaders as possible.
Absolutely.
And for you to even teach that, and for y'all to make that a mission to y'all, is great, because it's like you giving a person power.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, here, go. Here.
Not even, I wouldn't say giving, because the power's there. I think what happens with a lot of us is we get caught up with the saboteur in our own mind.
Okay.
So I fancy myself just trying to help pull back the things you've told yourself you can't do, and then helping you see, like, oh, this was in me all along. Oh, okay, that's what Aisha's done for me. I would second guess myself so much. I talk crazy to myself, and then I have to remind myself, you're the only one saying that, because everybody else thinks you're brilliant. So I have to remind myself to not dim my own light, and to just be an asset, not to give somebody power, but to help them see that, hey, it's already right there. You just got to pull this stuff back. You got some stuff in the way. Go and move that. You don't need that. Throw that out. What you carrying all that extra baggage for? No, let's get that story out. Let's cry about it. Let's keep moving. And now you see a light shining, and now you moving in rooms differently. And now you lobbying, and now you at city council meetings. Now you got 300 people behind you. Now you running for state senate. That was in you all along. So I say all the time, it's one of the things Aisha says, the best thing you can do for me is show up for yourself. Because when you show up for yourself, I know I was effective,
Man, come on. You ain't feeling it. If I had the little button with the shout out to the research team, because you're going to let this question too. I already know it. So following your work with the Ruth Ellis Center, you returned to Kansas City, where you worked in the private sector before serving as a special assistant for strategic initiatives to Mayor Sly James. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience working with Mayor James and how that impacted you?
Absolutely. That was a good while ago too. It's crazy. Where is this time going, bro? When I worked in the mayor's office, it was like working for a rock star, man. You on the highest floor of City Hall. You can see the whole city. It was pretty dope. I started as the public policy assistant and was promoted to the strategic initiatives, special assistant for strategic initiatives. My responsibility was multifold. I was responsible for youth programming. I was responsible for public safety. I was responsible for climate sustainability or environmental sustainability. Wow. I was also the chair of the Mayor's Christmas Tree Fund. This was a nonprofit that was governed in the office that raised money for needy seniors at Christmas time. So we would provide like Walmart gift cards to seniors and groceries for seniors who, you know, were underserved and needed assistance, those that were on fixed incomes. So during my time as chair, I raised $140,000, and we were able to help the most people that the Mayor's Christmas Tree Fund had ever been able to help. And it was a pretty big deal because it's like a big fancy, you know, you come down and you light the Christmas tree with the mayor, you get some local celebrity to come down and do it. I just kind of felt big time. I probably would have kept that job in the mayor's office for forever, if I'm being honest with you, because it was meaningful to walk in a room and folks are listening to you and you have the ear of the mayor as well. So for me, it was good to be in community, hearing what the issues were, and back to the 29th floor to say, hey, mayor, that's not exactly how that's playing out. We should revisit this particular ordinance, or we should revisit this particular task force or committee. Basically, I think me and the mayor kind of ended up not in alignment on some issues. And it was just time for me to get off the bus. I'll be graceful and leave it that way.
Around what time was that? Can you tell us around what time that was?
This was around the time of, this was like 2015, 2016. And an unarmed black man was killed. And we had a spirited conversation about Black Lives Matter. And I remember walking from that conversation thinking to myself, if I have to convince a black man that Black Lives Matter, it probably is time for me to go. So that was what informed that decision. I'm a fervent believer that when you work for an elected official, you need to be not in lockstep with them, but there are some foundational things that you need to be able to be in alignment with. And that was a big miss for me. It was like, oh, okay. Now we had other little spiffs here and there, you know, okay, you want to spend this out of this budget. I think it should be this out of this budget. Well, you the mayor, gone. But to the point that I'm in contention with an older black man, and he's trying to convince me of this pick yourself up by your bootstraps narrative. And I'm like, mayor, that's not for everybody, bro. Like, you have the opportunity to go away and serve our country in a way that when you came back, certain opportunities were available to you. In my hood, like, I could literally go back to where I grew up today and see the same dudes that I saw when I was standing on the corner waiting for the school bus. They're still there. And there are some people where I come from that don't ever know anything more than that. So for me, it's very challenging. And it makes me think of that Dr. King quote of, it's a cruel, cruel joke to tell someone to pick themselves up by their bootstraps when they don't even have any shoes. And that's where I was when we had that little kerfuffle. So did that time in the mayor's office, we had that little breakdown, and then I went back to private sector, got to travel a lot. I'm not made for private sector work, man. I just, the coming in, the politics of it, I'm not doing nothing directly with people. I couldn't do that. So I only did that for a couple months, and I was like, get me out of here. I don't feel like I'm changing any lives. God bless folks that do it, because there's a whole lot of folks that, you know, they do their 40 years, they get their Rolex, they get their pension. That's fantastic. I'm not claiming to be better than them, but my spirit felt terrible. My soul felt incomplete doing the work of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 work. It just didn't. And not even the 9 to 5 component, the not having direct impact. That's the part that I was like, okay, we got to do something different. It's time to go. It's time to go.
Yeah, when you're not making impact, it's tough.
What you doing?
Especially when you're an influential person, or you know you got purpose.
Yeah.
It's like, God, am I really even doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Are you aligning me with the right people around me? It's like, what's wrong? But when you find it, it's crazy just how every day is just a beautiful day.
Absolutely.
You be talking in front of the shepherd's breakfast, telling your story.
Well, that happened.
Yeah, man. And good. It was a great speech to you, by the way. So shout out to you for representing and just informing the community of the resource that we have, and doing it in that setting, man. thank you to shout out to Cedric Career and shout out to, what is it, Greater Wisdom? Is that the name of the
Wealthy
church?
Place. You've done Wealthy Place Ministry.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wealthy Place.
Bishop Remsen, Bishop McDonald. Shout out to y'all. Big shout out to y'all. They've been very supportive and helpful. And what I love about my friends at the Wealthy Place is they are for the people. Not to say that every church ain't for the people. I haven't been to every church. But Bishop Remsen and Bishop McDonald make it a point to keep the interests of the community centered in everything that they do. A lot of times in some churches, the churches I have been to, they center the importance of the message, and that's important. And I'm not going to be a Bible scholar on here, but I went to a Jesuit school, and the Jesus I learned about, the Lord I learned about, was one of service to people. And that is what's happening at Wealthy Place. So there's a lot of alignment there, and I'm eager to work with them more. I'm grateful for their friendship and alliance.
That's right. That's right. Now, this is off script a little bit. I just want to ask you. So are you also part of the CEIC?
Man, I told you I got 5 jobs and 1 check. Yes, I'm part of CEIC. I wouldn't have it any other way. That is my core team. That is the squad. CEIC stands for Cannabis Equity Inclusion Community. It is an advocacy group that is working to increase, well, I'll just say it this way. It is an advocacy group that's working to change the policy as it relates to cannabis in the state of Nevada. 30 years ago, you got a little weed in your car. They disrupted your whole family. They took you to jail. They over-policed your block. And since then, we have figured out how to make this a multi-billion-dollar industry and have figured out ways to keep Black and brown folks out of the industry. So CEIC is diligent, like a dog with a bone, to make sure we are lowering the barriers of entry so that more Black and brown folks can get involved in this industry. So I'm the vice president there, which, you know, I don't know what that really means. I just be doing the work. I just show up where necessary. When there's a civic engagement, something, an opportunity for me to share what I know about civic engagement or share what I know about policy, I stand in. When there's an opportunity to seal some records or volunteer, I stand in. When there's an opportunity to celebrate our scholars through the Pathway to Ownership program, I'm there. I'm so heartened by the work that we're doing at CEIC because we are truly doing that thing of moving people's stuff out the way so they can see their light. So I'll give you an example. The Pathway to Ownership program was created to prepare for the rollout of consumption lounges in this state. So in that program, there were 2 cohorts before the application opened up. Between those 2 cohorts, I believe we had about 28 to 30 students. I could be wrong. Somebody will correct me in the comments. But of those folks who applied for licensure, it was a lottery system. CEIC ended up with 7 students. 7 students ended with a license to open a cannabis business in Clark County, a cannabis consumption lounge, not a cannabis business, a cannabis consumption lounge, which is a big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal because now you're talking equity. Now we've leveled the playing field. And once, it's not my story to tell, but it makes me so happy. I think about my friend Rachel, who had a small infraction when she was a teenager and she went to jail. And she came to the Pathway to Ownership program. I won't say unsure of herself, but just like, I'm gonna just keep my head down and do my thing. And I was in Kansas City the day that the lottery happened to deciding who was going to get the license. And Rachel's number got picked. And I'm sitting here ugly crying, Brandon, like just full on ugly tears. And I don't know who had the camera, but they pan over to Rachel and she's ugly crying too. And I was just so thrilled for her because now Rachel shows up ready. Not that she wasn't ready before, but now she's like, I got my life back. And that's work that you won't ever, there's not a check that I would ever take that would change that feeling. And I only had a small part to do with it. There's a whole other team at CEIC that's like doing that day-to-day work of keeping folks engaged, keeping them focused, keeping them encouraged, encouraging them to show up for themselves. So we're changing lives at CEIC. It's that's my squad. So I'm there. I got my actual job. I'm an Alpha Phi Alpha man. I'm the vice president of our chapter there. I'm on the board of the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada. Shout out to my friends at Plan, Laura Martin, doing the damn thing over there. And what's my 5th job? I just got rid of a 5th job because I was the chair of the HIV Modernization Task Force. This was a task force that was put together in order to modernize our HIV laws in the state. When HIV became a thing, right, we were criminalizing it because there was so much that wasn't known about it. And since then, we hadn't modernized the law. So it was very much so possible up until about 2 years ago that if you pass along HIV or AIDS to someone, it could be criminalized.
Really?
And it still can be criminalized if you are not sharing the like if you're not divulging that information properly and you're doing it maliciously, that is criminal. But there were a lot of laws on the books that had to be repealed, had to be rewritten, because when they were written out of a lot of ignorance because we hadn't had the research done yet. So those were my 5 jobs. I guess I got to start saying 4 jobs and 1 check, but still the job check balance is off. Okay.
That's right. My man Thaddeus Lawler said Garen Perkins. Who Garen Perkins? Is that you? Maybe he tagged Garen Perkins.
He tagged Garen Perkins.
Come to the show, Garen. Yeah. When Garen come in, and then Thaddeus, man, feel free. You can chime in too, brother. Man, all I'm hearing is changing lives, bro. You out here changing lives. Yeah, initiative after initiative after initiative. And then I'm gonna ask you another question, and I'm actually gonna ask them out of order, and I'm gonna put a stipulation on this question right here. So up to 2023, just up till like not January, February, none of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. All right.
Gotcha.
I got a whole 3 questions about 2023 and beyond. So what would you say has been your biggest accomplishment so far in your career?
Man, that's a good one.
Thank you. The team, man. The team. It's the team.
Yeah, the team is good. Listen, I think the biggest accomplishment I love Black women. I grew up with Black women. I surround myself with women. They are the light of the world in my opinion.
I love Black women too.
Amen. Shout out. Hug a Black woman today if you haven't. Okay. I think the biggest accomplishment for me was the passage of our doula bill in the 2021 legislative session. It really unnerved me when I learned that Black women were dying in childbirth. And it unnerved me because as a student of politics, as one that studies this, and I'm very much ingrained in the rhetoric that we use to talk about the United States. We say we're the greatest nation on earth. We say we're the number one this, number one that. We say all these things. And then when you just pull the hood back, you start seeing a whole bunch of stuff that just ain't adding up, don't look right. So when I learned that for every 100,000 live births, 43 Black women die, that just broke my heart. I couldn't imagine why that's possible in the greatest nation on earth. And these are Black women who look like my sisters, and look like my mom, and look like my friends, and look like my nieces. So for me, it was important to do something about that. So with Assemblywoman Sandra Summers Armstrong in the 2021 legislative session, we passed a bill that would expand Medicaid to include doula reimbursement. So what is a doula? A doula is a non-medical assistant to a pregnant person. So if you are expecting a kid and you are on state Medicaid, you can get a doula. And the doula is literally there to just be your support. You need your feet rubbed, get your doula. You need somebody to help you make dinner, get your doula. You need somebody to just ride with you to the Lamaze class or the doctor's appointment. That's what the doula is for. This is a not medical professional that's literally just supposed to be your best friend for 9 months. And I'm so proud of that bill because it did 2 things. It saved the state $2 million every year. And in a state as broke as Nevada, it's important that we save money. The reason it saved the state $2 million is because when you have a doula, you're more likely to have a traditional vaginal birth versus without a doula, you are more inclined to have a C-section, which is a more expensive procedure. With doula support, you wouldn't have that procedure and it would save the state system that would pay for your C-section money. The second thing I was most proud of is that it will literally save lives. Research study after research study after research study proves that having doulas increase positive birth outcomes. And when you have a doula for even an extended period of time, that 4th trimester, you're more likely to get mom and baby set up in a way that they can have solid footing in navigating life. So I think that was my biggest accomplishment. I remember going to Carson City, Aisha coaching me, we having breakfast early in the morning. This is what's about to happen. You need to look out for this. It was a lot of wheeling and dealing because even though it sounds like it should have been a slam dunk, it wasn't. We had to make the case. you had to show up deep. This was I remember listening to the public comments and I cried. Just a little tear came there because it was 21 Black women who got on the phone and was like, hey, I support this bill. Ashley Dodson got on, gave a whole testimony about how doula services increases positive birth outcomes, is good for mental stability for the parents on. So it was just so enriching to hear so many of my community members have my back, but not my back, because it wasn't me personally. I'm just showing up for the people. So to have so many folks alongside me saying, yeah, we like that, we're gonna do that. It just gave me chills. It's giving me chills right now. So I think that's my biggest, at least the one I'm most proud of.
Man, that's fly, man. That I had no idea that either. And shout out to the doulas out there. A friend of mine, Tierra Flynn now. That's Shondell Newsom's daughter.
That's her. Yeah. I remember talking to her.
Yeah, she's opening the doula. So I'm really looking forward to her transition and her going into that space as well. And man, shout out to you, man, for that work. That's work. Changing lives. I told you. Changing lives, bro. That's what I should have named it. I should have named this show Changing Lives. Because I love the title. It was very, very appropriate. It's going to take all of us. And I'm going to have you comment on that in the end, all right? Okay. I really want to hear why that's your message. And I want to hear your emphasis behind it. But now we're going to go into NAACP. So you are now the president of hold on real quick. Before I answer this, before I even ask you this. So I remember you called while you was campaigning. And when you called me, I was like, look, man, hey, a lot of respect for you, but Kelsey West is my guy. Like, I'm like, and out of respect for him, I'm going to vote for him. And he's a great man, right?
A great man.
I had no reason not to vote for him. You know what I'm saying? Like when I looked at his record and I looked at everything, he was going against one amazing opponent. So for you to pull off that, it says a lot. It truly says a lot. Yeah, because he's to me, he's a giant in our community.
Absolutely, a pillar, necessary. And that's what I tried. People always do this. Folks, stop doing this. Folks need options. It's okay to have options, and it don't have to be contentious. So folks say, why are you running against Pastor West? You don't like Pastor West? I love Pastor West, but it's okay for people to have options. So he had a plan, and I had a plan, and that's okay. And I went in when I realized it was going to be him. I took a deep breath, and I was like, okay, well, I had already told everybody I was gonna do it, so you can't back out now. So yes, man, it was it's major. I still have moments that I'm like, this is a big deal, Q. Like, wow, brother, great job. Now get the work done. I used to torment myself about being effective. Now I don't do that anymore because it's so innate to my core that there's no way I'm not effective. It's just a matter of getting all the right pieces in place and just biding the time to see the results. But it does feel like a tremendous responsibility. I feel like all eyes are on me, and not in a negative sense, in the sense that people want to be a part of something transformational. People want to be a part of something that is going to create lasting change. And I'm just honored that I can be a vessel to bring that forward. I say it's not my presidency, it's our presidency. What you want to do, let's go do it. Because you got the institution of the NAACP behind you, and it ain't a whole lot I'm gonna say no to, because we need it all.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about that right now. So let's talk about the work that you're doing with NAACP, and also the impact that you hope to make in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Sure. It's day 54. So I'm like keeping that in mind, right? Like, it's not as if I have to remind myself it's not been months, it's been 54 days. So the work I'm doing right now is really setting up a team. As I mentioned earlier, there's 21 standing committees, and finding the right people to lead those committees. It hasn't been hard, honestly. It has been just the navigating of the administration of it, sending the emails, connecting the right people with the right people. So the fact that it hasn't been challenging to find people to say, hey, I want to do work, has been a true blessing. That's right. A lot of my work lately has been wrapped up in the injustices that are happening. Just because I'm a new president don't mean civil rights aren't being violated. So the last like week and a half, my life's been pretty consumed with the incident that happened at Durango High School, something that's just fully should not be tolerated in our community. We talk a lot about making sure we keep young talent in Nevada, we keep our young people in Nevada. Well, we can start by making sure that things like what happened at Durango aren't happening. Because if I was a young person being thrown around like a ragamuffin, I wouldn't feel like my community wanted me. So a lot of my days have been spent trying to be of service to the families of those young men. I've been doing a whole lot of news talking and media stuff. I know how to do it. That's not my favorite part of it. That's not what makes me feel good. I don't need my face everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's not about me. I'd rather tonight the Clark County School District say, hey, the officer was fired and this is not going to happen again. And we're doing full stop policy change or reform on excessive force with the school district police. That would make me super duper turbo happy. But instead, it's going to be this dance of what they can do, what they can't do, the bureaucracy of it. Inevitably, I'll have to go on the news and drag somebody because they don't want to do the right thing. So using those mediums as tactics to get a bigger outcome or a better outcome is how I see those things. Other work that I'm doing includes just setting up the agenda. This is Q1 of 2023. We've got some pretty important events on the horizon. We're in the middle of the legislative session. So for me, it's important that the NAACP has a strong presence in the legislative session, advocating for bills that are in alignment with the mission and the values of the NAACP. Some of those things include AJR 10. That's the bill that's being sponsored by Assemblyman Howard Watts. It's not even a bill, it's a resolution. And it's to take the word slavery out of our state constitution. It's crazy to me, the things that we still have to legislate. In Nevada, our constitution still has the word slavery in it. So this bill will get rid of that. The other bill I'm thinking about is AB 140. That's the bill that will make Juneteenth a state holiday, not just a federal holiday. Right now, it's a federal holiday with a state observance. It will be a state holiday with the passage of AB 140. And I'm also thinking about the bill that Senator Pat Spearman is running to create consequences for people who use swastikas and nooses and other racially motivated things that are used to intimidate and scare people of color. So those are the bills that I'm focused on, principally because I know them on the top of my head. There's a whole lot of housing bills that we know we will need to be in support of. Rent is through the roof, and there's not enough people talking about it. And even though we have a Democratic Assembly and a Democratic Senate and a Republican governor, you'd be surprised how nuanced these conversations are when it comes to talking about protecting what people pay for rent. Before I left my job at Make It Work Nevada, and I was talking to seniors and talking to people almost day in and day out about their housing issues, I was talking to seniors about how they were about to have to move into their car because the rent went up $400 or $600 or $800. And I always ask the question, well, did they paint? Did they change your doorknobs? Is the pool open? Like, what happened that created all this new value in where you live? And every single time, Brandon, I kid you not, no, ain't nothing happened. In fact, the laundry room's been closed for 9 months. In fact, my mailbox key don't work. In fact, the window's broken and I can't get maintenance to come up here. So in almost every case, I'm talking to people who have said my rent's gone up and I have less things. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, that's just not right. It's just not right. We're not having a conversation about a landlord's ability to make money. That's fine, make money. But we have to be gross and egregious about it. These are our seniors. These are our elders. These are our young people who are branching out. And this is their first job out of college and they got a $1,500 a month studio apartment. That's not feasible. How do we think we're supposed to sustain this community if we don't have some regulations around these things? So the NAACP is going to be focused on all things that will advance civil rights. We are the vanguard of civil rights. I definitely want people to know that the Juneteenth celebration ain't going nowhere. Everybody loves the Juneteenth Jubilee breakfast. We expect to keep that. We expect to also maintain our Freedom Fund Gala. That's our big flagship fundraiser. So there's all kinds of stuff on the horizon. 2024 is right around the corner. It's a presidential year. The national convention will be back in Las Vegas next year. That's very exciting. So there's all kinds of opportunities to get plugged in, to be involved, and to make this the NAACP that you want it to be. Because again, it's not my presidency, it's our presidency. Let's do something. Let's change the world.
That's right. Speaking of that presidency, I told you I was doing my research. a research team. I was doing the research, and they need to update that website, man. It's still showing the past president on there, and I'm like, they should have been. You said it's 54 days, right? 54.
Man, it's a lot. It's a lot, Brandon. Don't you make me open a can of worms. Listen, I'll just be graceful and I'll put it this way. There are a lot of administrative things that are requiring my attention within Branch 1111 right now, but that's fine. That's to be expected in a transition. Unfortunately, the NAACP does not have full-time round-the-clock staff. This is a volunteer job. It's not, so the work that I get folks to do is work of their own passion. So I've been in communication with some of our community leaders and stakeholders, especially those who are geniuses in the communications space. Very grateful to my brother, Devin Moore, who has said, hey, Q, I want to fix it and I'm going to just fix it. And you just let me know what you need. So I need to go sit with him this evening and talk about the website because it's very important to me that we fix this website. Folks, when I was campaigning and I was running and I'm telling folks where to go to sign up, they're like, well, I got this PayPal thing, but I don't know that. I'm like, yes, it's right. I know it doesn't look right, but we're going to fix it. So yes, we're going to fix it. It's wild. My big goal for the NAACP, Brandon, though, is to get back to where we have staff. There used to be an executive director of the NAACP, and they used to have full-time staff. So my goal is to get the organization to a financial status where I can hire an executive director and they can hire program associates. And there can be year-round programming that's keeping people engaged in the process of being engaged in our community. Because this whole every 2 years, we got to start from scratch for the election, or we're going to adopt this classroom to do this thing this year. Like, there's more to it than that. Civil rights needs ongoing nurturing. Protecting them is an ongoing job. So I need folks that can be paid to do that so that it's just not at the whim of volunteers, because everybody don't like working for free.
Yeah. And honestly, it's perfect that you said that because it goes into my next question. You're going to be like, man, because that's a hard sell. It's going to be a hard sell after this because it's going to have to be a person's passion. Yeah. Right? It's going to have to be a person's passion. It's got to be the work that they want to do. So my question for you is, how can people get involved with the NAACP Las Vegas and support your work?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. The best way to get involved is to come to one of our general member meetings. Now, I don't want to hear no excuses. The general member meetings are the same every month. Third Saturday of every month, 12:30 Pearson Center. So 12:30, third Saturday, Pearson Center. I have to shout out our commissioner, William McCurdy, and his chief of staff, Anthony Maynard, for helping ensure that the NAACP general member meetings have a home at Pearson Center. The commissioner said, just tell me the dates you need and y'all got it. It's done. And I don't have to stress about that every month. And that's grateful. I'm grateful because the branch has only been virtual for meetings for the last 2 years. And now getting people back in the habit of being in person was going to present a challenge. It does present a challenge. But one of those challenges is not finding a place to have it. Pearson is our home. I look forward to seeing you. Other things that you can do are become a member. Membership is $30 for the year. Or you can become a life member. Now, the life membership is $750. I ain't got it either. But if you pay $75 this year, you can establish your life membership and then just pay over 10 years. You have 10 years to pay down $750, pay off $750. So it's basically $75 every year for the next 10 years for life membership in the NAACP. Deeply, deeply, deeply appreciated. And then finally, you can join a committee. So what I expect to do as president, this was one of my criticisms, was that I did not know how to get involved in the committees when I was not president. It wasn't overtly clear when committee meetings were held. If the information was shared, it was only shared verbally and it wasn't followed up with by email or any kind of communique. I expect to change that. So as we stand up these committees, there will be communication that goes out to the full branch where folks can participate, where and when they can participate in committee meetings. I expect a lot of them will be virtual, but some committee chairs may make the decision to meet in person, which is fine. But I need you on these committees, folks, because if my North Star is raising money so that we can have an executive director and reestablish this branch to be the powerhouse that it has been and can be, then I need folks helping get the actual work done. And that don't mean getting your nails dirty every single day, but it does mean having passion for our community and being committed to that work.
Man, there you go. And then what's that website? You know, you got to tell them where to go.
Yep.
You like, just Google it, right?
That's also a problem. So we got a .org and a .com. It's crazy. So we don't want people using the .com. I got to fix this, bro. So go to NAACP LV.org. Now, I don't know how it's going to look when you pull it up. It should look like, you know, the website that we're accustomed to seeing, but there are a lot of pieces that require some tending to, and I cannot wait to re-debut our new website. I'm aiming for the end of Q2. So like headed into summer, I plan to have a whole relaunch of our website, and we're going to throw a party around that thing, because let me tell you, I shouldn't say the word. Website launch, yes. I do not like making websites. It is my least favorite thing. So when it's done, we got to have a party. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a party at Mariposa. I'm volunteering Devin already, but I'll talk to him about it.
So if you ever need my help, I do all that. I do websites, all that, everything when it comes to business, I do it.
Man.
So,
yes,
you know, utilize me. I'm definitely a resource. Definitely a resource. All right, we're going to go into this, man. This was great. This was amazing. We already an hour over. I didn't want to go too far because I got a second interview tonight. I'm like, oh, yeah. But the guy who I have next is going to be amazing. You know, you're going to be able to introduce him. So let me get in here real quick. So let's see. You already talked about your vision and your future for the Black community. We talked about that. We talked about giving younger people advice and how to get involved in the community. We talked about that. All right. Community members who you would like to acknowledge. The team, the squad, the mentors, the leadership. You know.
Golly, man.
Go ahead, sir. It's your time.
There's just so many. I mean, first, I couldn't. I listen, I've said her name several times, but I love me some Aisha Goins. That's right. She is one of the most important people in my life. She has transformed my leadership, and she has poured into me in a way that only a sister can. And I'm so grateful to God for her. I truly am. I remember meeting Aisha, and I remember we walked, it's the old Mingos over in the Arts District, and she walked in and we walked past each other. And I remember hitting the door, walking to my car, and I was like, she seems like she would be a good friend to somebody. And I'm just grateful that our worlds have continued to come together, and she continues to pour into me, and we continue to pour into one another. It's fantastic. Who else would I name?
Real quick. Real quick, I'm gonna say this real quick. So go ahead and think about your next person, because I'm gonna speak on Asha real quick. So y'all know I asked Asha to come on. You know, I'm bringing on some heavy hitters, right? I'm trying to get all the heavy hitters.
Absolutely.
Asha came up so much, and I saw her yesterday at the Shepherd's Breakfast. I just be telling people, man, you gotta know where to go. If you know where to go, you're gonna see the right people. Yesterday, my mission was to go to the Shepherd's Breakfast and only connect with the women that I wanted on my podcast. I got like eight of them. But Asha was one of them. She can't be on next month, but she promised me that she would definitely be on in the month of April. So I'm looking forward to it. Y'all, we're going to put some pressure on her. Quentin, I got you right by my side to be like, hey, bro, can you tell her and just poke her and tell her, hey, answer that email that Brandon sent. All right, you ready for everybody?
Absolutely. You ready? I got it. I got a whole list now.
Let's go. I knew I had it. I saw you put a phone out like.
Listen, but yep, there it is. So right, definitely got to acknowledge my squad at CEIC. Thank you so much for holding me down, CEIC. Special shout out to my guy Ron Baker Media. Ron's everywhere with the phone and the camera always. Shout out to my guy Chandler. Chandler is my secretary at the NAACP, and we going on this journey together, because the secretary's job at the NAACP is a big, big job. People don't understand the mechanics and the administration of running an NAACP branch. I'm thinking of Judge BTH, Belinda T. Harris. I just love Belinda. She's been a tremendous friend to me. She's been a tremendous ally. She's ready for the work always. I'm thinking of Miss Ruby, Dr. Ruby Duncan. I got the opportunity to have brunch with her on Sunday, 92 years old, feisty as ever, still trying to make change. I'm thinking of my brother, Atar Hasibullah. Thank you, brother, so much for pouring into me, bringing me into Alpha. That has been tremendous. I could not not say something about, I call Asha the mayor of Black Las Vegas. That's what I call her. So Madam Mayor, I love you. I first met Asha in 2018. We sat down at Public Us, and she's just kind of watched me grow. And she's just been so helpful to me. And I'm just so grateful. I'm thinking about my friends in other communities. I'm thinking about my boy, Craig Valdez, who does organizing in the Asian American Pacific Islander space. Shout out to Craig. Thinking about Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, my friend, my fellow Detroiter. I'm not from Detroit. I just claimed it because I was there for a minute. I'm thinking about Assemblywoman Danielle Monroe Moreno and all of our legislators in the NBLC, Assemblywoman Sandra Summers Armstrong. These are tremendous leaders, y'all, that we have access to. And if we're not using them to our benefit, then what have we elected them for? So when you see them at the grocery store, tell them good job, or share with them a bill idea, because they don't have all the answers either. It's going to take all of us. Like, it's quite literal. And I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out my boy, C.H. Miller. That's my guy, president of the Urban Chamber. I just love that man.
That's my
I love this community.
Man, I love this community too. All them people, my friends. Except Asha. We ain't
oh, wait. Just wait a minute. I got one more person. Tamika Henry.
Right.
I love me some Tamika Henry. Yes. Tamika has been a writer since I've got here, and you just meet people and you're like, oh, I'm gonna like you. Your spirit, your vibe is good. Instantly, me and Tamika just took to each other just instantly. So yeah, and we shouted out Patrina earlier. I love Patrina. She's change maker in our community. She organizes the organizers. She keeps us on deadline. I could go on and on because I love us, man. We out here really changing the world. The power is shifting. And the folks that recognize it and are good natured about it, have the people's interest in mind. I'm excited about where we're headed because I think for a long time, public service across the country, not just in Nevada, across the country, public service has lacked the public component with the people's interest, the people's best interest in mind.
That's right, man. Look, I want you to share your interview with them because it was amazing.
Yes.
Savwoir. Miss Ruby Duncan, Asha Jones, Judge Belinda T. Harris, Shonda Summers. I know I didn't name them all, but look, next month is National Women's History Month, and I'm doing next month's series is called She Rose of LV. That's what it's called, She Rose of LV. And I would love to have them on. So whatever I can get you to do to get Ruby on, I don't know if you got to set up her computer or what, you said she about 92, but she probably got
Now listen, Brandon, because I told my second vice president, Zarina, I was calling Zarina, I said, Zarina, this is what we should do for Women's History Month. I said, you've been watching Brandon Ward's podcast? I said, we should just do one per week for Women's History Month. And I was stealing your idea, but it's already your idea. So now I got to go back to the drawing board. But I would love to figure out if you're open to some kind of way that we can collaborate with the NAACP.
Let's collaborate.
I would love that, brother. I would love that a lot. That would be
definitely
fantastic.
Let's collaborate.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You're gonna bring the people. Why not? I'm just gonna say you got a lot of work to do. Let me do all the technical work, all the setting up the marketing. Let me do all that. You just come and you bring that information, that wisdom, and that spirit, brother. And I really do your spirit. I'm so glad I was able to meet you. I'm so we was able to cross paths back, man. So I definitely appreciate you. My last question for you is, how can we support you? I know you said we can support the NAACP, but how can we support you?
Thank you for asking that. I appreciate it. The way you can support me is you can hold me accountable. It's important to me to be held accountable because this work of community is not easy. I will make mistakes. I have made mistakes. Hold me accountable. Ask me hard questions. Now, don't be surprised when I ask you to help me with solutions, but that's how you can support me. You can ask me hard questions. You can hold me accountable to the things that I say I would do as your NAACP brand president. Other than that, man, I'm good. Like, make sure when you see me out in the streets, ask me if I've eaten. Ask me if I've called my doctor. I'm not the best at taking care of myself. My brother Gerald, I love Gerald, man. That's another one, a friendship I'm cultivating and building that just feels so good. But the other day he asked me, did you eat today? And I had to think about it. I was like, I don't think so. man, get half of this Popeye's chicken sandwich. See, that's the love. That's the love I need, because I won't think about eating. I wake up, I got an agenda, I got a calendar, and I'm moving, you know? Yeah. But if I don't eat, I can't be out here collapsed on the sidewalk or, you know, behind the wheel of my car, fell asleep because I ain't ate or hungry and sleepy, you know?
That's right, bro. So what's for dinner, bro?
Yeah, see, I don't even know.
Yeah, he ain't thought about it.
I ain't thought about it. I'm probably gonna get some soup because I don't feel good, and also don't cook. So, you know, if you got some recipes you want to slide your boys' way, some meal prep solutions or options, that's how you can support me. I hate cooking, but I only hate cooking because I have to make a decision about what I want to eat. My days are full of decision making. So by the time it's time to eat, I'm like, just have some shit done, you know?
I'm about to slide you this. What's this recipe app that I use?
Yeah.
What's this recipe app? It's on here. Yeah, I cook everything with this app. You tell it what you got. They tell you exactly how to make it. But
oh yeah, definitely shoot that in a text to me, please.
Like, yeah, we DoorDash. My man be DoorDashing. I know your type, bro. I know your type.
It is, and it's not good for me. I'm 36. You can't be DoorDashing at 36. Your clothes don't fit. Metabolism slowing down. Nah.
All right, here we go, Q. So this is one of my favorite parts. It's when my guest introduced the next guest, and Ashley didn't get to introduce you yesterday because we kind of filled in this interview. So she actually interviewed my next guest. But we talked about you so much on the last show that she did you justice. Like she did you.
I love her.
All right. So our next guest, I'm about to bring up his picture. And it's tonight. And I think it started like 6. Hopefully it's 6:35. Please God, let it be 6:35. Can you see that?
Hey, Sweet Lou. I can see him. All
right. So it is none other than Sweet Lou himself.
Sweet Lou Collins.
The floor is yours. I need your best intro possible. I need your energy. He got a restaurant too, you know. So you hungry?
He does.
All right, but go ahead.
Sin City Soul? No, it's Sin City Seafood, man. So my great privilege to introduce, I would say, the godfather of Las Vegas, because he says, you know, people can't come into town without talking to Sweet Lou. I'm like, you right. And I appreciate this brother deeply because when I was talking about running for the NAACP, he says, do you understand what this means? Do you understand the gravity of what you're signing up for? And I said, yeah. But he introduced me to his father, who is a former branch president. And I got to have a really, really, really rich conversation with Mr. Gene Collins about being NAACP president as well. So I'm deeply grateful to Sweet Lou Collins. So godfather of Black Las Vegas, the man with the plan, the extraordinary host. I've seen him host so many things, had a good time with Sweet Lou. Please welcome Sweet Lou Collins to Creating Black History in Las Vegas.
Hey, good job, Q. Amazing job. I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, the last thing there is to do is for you to give them some parting words.
Yeah, man. Whew. Parting words. I mean, I just go back to going to take all of us. I mean, I honestly believe that. It's really simple, but it's so powerful. We are not alone in this. These hardships that we have in our day-to-day lives, these challenges that we face, these are not our challenges alone. So we are only enhanced by sharing those vulnerabilities with one another. We are only enhanced by trying to have these conversations, challenging conversations with our neighbors about how we reach solutions that are to our benefit collectively. If we do this alone, we won't get there together. And I think that's what our foremothers and forefathers understood, which is why so much of the civil rights movement, even the NAACP, was anchored in church. Now, I'm not telling everybody to run out and go to church. That's not everybody's thing. But the fellowship component of church can happen right now today. You can go outside your door. You can speak to your neighbor, say hi to a Black man walking down the street. We don't speak to each other as brothers. We don't talk to Black men. We don't say hi to one another. Just start by saying hi. Start by saying hi, you know? Engage in your neighbor. Be curious about what's happening with your neighbors or in your neighborhood. because those are the things that beget trust amongst one another, where we can break down those walls of feeling like we have to do things alone. We don't. And once we realize that, we're going to change the world.
That's right. That's right. Well, Quentin, thank you so much for you being you, for you stepping in your purpose, for you being confident. It's very inspiring, right?
Thank you, brother.
It's a very contagious energy that you bring. And like I said, it's an honor to know you, brother. You are creating Black history in LV, but you're not just creating in an LV, man. I can see you about to impact the whole world. And
wow.
I'm following you, bro. And I'm here to watch and support you on your journey. And as I rise up, man, you even have more support. So I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for blessing these people with your life and your stories. And I'll see you in the community.
All right, brother. I'm going to call you soon because we got 2 action items to follow up on. All right.
I know. Yeah, you need it done, too.
Need it done. All right, brother. Thank you, Brandon, so much. This was quite the delight, man. And I really appreciate getting to know you better. And thank you for your praise and support of me. I really appreciate it.
Man, you deserve it all, brother. Thank you.
All right. Take care, bro.
All right. Look, y'all. Another fire interview, right? They already hit me in my messenger. That was a great one. That was another great one. I told you, I'm bringing them. Man, we're bringing talent. I don't know who told y'all that we don't have community. We just don't have like no logo, right? We don't have like a uniform. Nah, we are all out here just being us, and we just doing us, and we making a difference. And that's what it's all about. It's all about making a difference in each other's lives. And I love his message. It's going to take all of us to do it. So let's continue to support one another. Let's continue to encourage one another. And most of all, encourage yourself. Because without you being full, without you being in your purpose, without you being strong, without you being confident, it's only going to slow people down. So we need you. We need you to be in your purpose. We need you to be great. I love you. I love Las Vegas, man. Las Vegas has been so good to me. And even with all the tragedies that I've been through here, it continues to bless me. And I'm going to continue to bless it. So with that being said, man, look out for the next episode of Creating Black History in LV. I got a legend coming on tonight, Sweet Lou Collins. And even though I'm a little tired, you know what I mean? Even though I'm a little tired, I'm definitely going to show up for my man because he deserved it. And because he took the opportunity to get me in. So with that being said, I'll see y'all tonight. See you tonight. And if you can't join me tonight, catch the replay. And if you can't catch the replay, you see me tomorrow because we do them every day. And they just getting better and better. I'm getting better and better. I'm getting more comfortable doing these. I love when they call me after and be like, man, that was a great interview. Thank you. Ashley Dawson was thanking me till about an hour ago, man. Just love the interview. And it's good because they get to tell people who they are. You get to showcase who you are. And honestly, they don't even got to do too much. I'm going to go do the research and I'm going to ask the questions and bring it out of them. I think my research team has been they've been doing great, asking great questions. I can't even name my research team, but they amazing. And we're going to keep bringing it. So I love y'all. Thank y'all for giving me your time. Thank you for joining in. And share, like, and subscribe. I think that's what they all say. You can follow me if you're not following me yet. And if you haven't followed Quentin, make sure you follow him as well. And then if you're not a member of the NAACP, go look into it. Man, it's power in numbers, and we need as many as we got. And with those numbers, we're going to have all the support that we need. So it was a great episode. Thank you, Q, Quentin Savwoir. Thank you for coming on today. It was a great interview. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody.